Evening. How's everybody? Welcome to the Marque City Council special meeting of September 6, 2022. Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Marque, Texas will conduct a special meeting on September 6, 2022, beginning at 6 p.m. in council chambers at 1109 B Bayou Road, Marque, Texas, as well as via video conference hosted through Zoom. In accordance with section 551.127B of the Texas Local Government Code, the presiding officer and a quorum of the Marque City Council intend to be will be physically present at 1109 B Bayou Road, Marque, Texas. This location will be open to the public and the meeting will be broadcast at this location on channel 16 and via YouTube. The council will meet for the purpose of considering the following agenda. The meeting has been called to order. Akira, would you give us a roll call, please?
Councilmember District A.
Is she
Present, and I'm at 1600 Lamar Street in Houston.
Councilmember District B.
Present.
Councilmember District C.
Present.
Councilmember District D.
Present, and I am at 4101 Main Street, Lamarck, 77568.
And Mayor.
present? Thank you, Kira. We'll move now to our invocation and pledge. We'll ask Mayor Pro Tem to lead us in our invocation. Councilmember Carlson, lead us in our pledge.
God of justice and mercy, thank you for the gift of life and the opportunity to serve the people of our city. Help us to listen with understanding and goodwill. Help us to speak with charity and restraint. Give us all a spirit of service for our dear city of Lamarck. Remind us that we're stewards also as council persons of the authority that you invested in us. Guide us to be the leaders your people need. Help us see the humanity and dignity of those who disagree with us, and to treat all persons, no matter how weak or poor, with the reverence your creation deserves. And finally, Father, renew us with the strength of your presence and the joy of helping to build a community worthy of the human person. We ask this as your sons and daughters, confident in your goodness and love. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you, Councilmember Carlson. Is there a person here from former Councilmember Clint Brown's family? There's someone here from former Councilmember Clint Brown's family. Certainly, we have our proclamation for former Councilmember Brown. It was read before. Certainly, we continue to try to contact Mr. Brown's family so that we can present him with a proclamation in this great facility in which he served. Is there a member? And I already see Mikey. Is there a member from former Mayor Geraldine Sam's family? Fortunate enough to be a part of the homegoing celebration. Former Mayor Geraldine Sam on Saturday. Wonderful event. Certainly your mother meant a lot to our community. And this community continues to owe her debt of gratitude. Certainly we hope to emulate passion and her love for this community and all of our volunteer efforts. So certainly we thank you for sharing your mother with us the time that you all do. The office of the mayor for the city of Lamar, proclamation where Geraldine Agnes Sam was born on September 22nd, 1951 to Albert and Alberta Sam. Whereas education played an integral part of Sam's life. She was educated by the Lamar Public School System, received her bachelor's degree from Prairie View A&M University, master's degree from Grand Canyon University, and was a doctoral candidate at Grand Canyon University. Many of these accolades achieved as she served the youth as an educator for over 30 years. And whereas Ms. Sam was a lover of many things, above all her family, Jesus Christ, will follow immediately after by Beta sorority, Prairie View A&M University, and all things Lamar. Whereas her love for Lamar resulted in a $500,000 donation from Oprah's Big Giveaway, Sims Elementary. The birth of single member council districts in the city and the historical election becoming the first African-American female mayor of the city of Lamar. Whereas Ms. Sam was a youth officer, an active member of the Republican Party, and a candidate for both U.S. Congress and Senate. She never shied away from a challenge and was truly a trailblazer. Now be it resolved, her legacy is one of triumph, love, and devotion. City of Lamar mourns the loss of Miss Geraldine Sam with family, friends, and community that love her. Now therefore, we, the mayor and city council, by virtue of the authority vested by the city of Lamar, Texas, do hereby proclaim Geraldine Sam Memorial Day. Hereby, in the city of Lamar, we hereby urge everyone in the community to encourage one another at this time of bereavement. Testimony whereof witness my hand, the seal of the city of Lamar, this third day of September 2022, Keithville Mayor. Let's give a hand for former mayor. Certainly, Mike, is there something that you'd like to share with us? Before the one?
No, I called it the mother of the law, especially. Anybody call anytime that they need to do it, anytime that they want to do it. I just enjoy y'all having her, as y'all family and my family. I thank you and appreciate everyone.
Again, we hope to present the family of Clint Brown, proclamation for Clint Brown and his time here on council sooner rather than later. Having said that, we'll move now to introduction of County Commissioner Robin Armstrong. Certainly, those of us that have lived in Lamarck for quite some time know that Robin Armstrong is a product of this area. He graduated from Lamarck High School. Certainly, this is his hometown, and he has been very accomplished here. I'll let him share with you who he is and his service, and certainly what he endeavors to do as our Precinct 4 County Commissioner, Dr. Robin Armstrong. You may approach, Doctor.
It is an honor to be here, and so I just want to let you know, I went to Community Beach down here, went to Lamarck Community High School, went to the Lamarck High School, played football at Lamarck, graduated in '87. Knew Mayor Sam very well. In fact, you honored her this morning at the county commission meeting as well. So I spent the day with this young man here. So it is an honor. Lamarck is my home, and so I just want to let you all know that as a county commissioner, I mean, we're here to be of assistance in any way that we can. I met with your mayor the other day, and so it's just, anything that we can do to help, please just call and let us know. And so we just want to be of assistance to you all if we can. And like I say, Mayor Sam did a fantastic job, and so we're just going to try and carry on that legacy of serving our community, serving the people. So thank you very much, Mayor. I don't want to hold up your meeting anymore, and God bless you, and just know that we're close. We'll be around, and we're a cell phone call away.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Let's give a hand. Amen. Certainly, Dr. Armstrong is, as he said, a phone call away. We thank him for introducing himself to our community, reintroducing himself as a commissioner, and we look forward to working with him. Item 5, citizens participation limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments from the public will be heard at this time. Any person with city-related business who has signed up to speak may speak to council limited to 3 minutes. You're wishing to speak, you give the mayor your full name, address, and item you wish to speak about. Compliance with the Texas Open Meeting Act. The city may not deliberate on comments. Personal attacks will not be allowed, and personnel matters should be addressed to the city manager during normal business hours. Press *6 to mute and unmute yourself if you are visiting with us by phone. Press the microphone icon in the lower portion of your screen if you are on the Zoom platform and you're visiting with us via tablet, smartphone, or computer. If you are visiting with us in person, you may approach the podium to my left and to your right, again, giving your name and address, and you will be heard at this time. Kyle, are there any persons online wishing to speak? Does not appear that we have any. And so we'll now move to the audience. Number one, Joseph Lowry. Welcome, Joseph. As always, name and address, sir.
Joseph Lowry, 2503 Cedar Drive. Do this the best I can. I wanted to print these off so they could be seen on the projector. But unfortunately, it can be, actually, I want to start with, played a hat trick today. By some of our council's definition of person is what they have on their hat. So I guess today it would be a police officer, back to blue. But I want to get this on a projector. Anybody that has kids in here, this was $1,000 reward for the names and whereabouts of my children. $1,000 reward for the names and whereabouts of my children. Been reported to the PD. No arrests have been made. We had our mayor and we had our council tagged in this Facebook post.
And
Not
just,
one of them spoke out.
and
against it.
and Joseph, just the no personal attacks.
Not one of them spoke out against it.
As I said,
The reason behind this, because I supported the decision of the judicial system. We're a nation of laws. I supported the decision of the courts, and I had $1,000 reward put out for the names and whereabouts of my children. This is my family picture. Not one time,
and just no
Not-
personal attacks.
it's not personal, not one time did anybody speak out against it. And while some people were aiming to segregate the community,
No personal attacks again.
no personal attacks. I want to personally, and I was hoping he'd be here tonight, but I want to thank Mr. Hobgood. He's been going around in the community for many months and praying with families and bringing people together, bringing unity. And that's what the community needs. That's leadership. Bringing people together, praying together. That is leadership. That's all.
Thank you, Joseph. Carol Johnson. Welcome, Ms. Carol. Name and address as always.
Carol Johnson, 2808 Bannon Street. I just want to bring to the attention for 7.11 resolution R 2022-0065, authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with Galveston County for participation in the Galveston County Auto Crimes Task Force. I read through that. I think that's absolutely amazing. And I'm looking forward to when that actually gets to take place. The only thing I saw that I wanted to bring to your attention was page 17 of the signature page, where the city manager's name is wrong. So that needs to be corrected. And that's all I've got.
Thank you, Ms. Carol. Ms. Eva Libby. Welcome, Ms. Eva. As always, name and address.
Eva Libby, 2808 Bannon Street. I'm here today because I believe it was about 4.5 months ago. I made a comment about the yield signs on Lake Road. I have just been flabbergasted at how many people have contacted me to let me know, thank you for doing that. The stop signs are up. So Mr. Garcia, thank you for pushing that forward. It was well needed. And I'm hoping for the safety of our community that will cut down on some of those horrific accidents that we're having on Lake Road. So thank you again for making sure that gets done. I knew we had the signs available. So thank you. And we still have a few more to fix, but it's good. You did great. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Eva. David Pennington. Welcome, David.
Name and address, sir.
David Pennington, 924 Cypress. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'd like to speak tonight on agenda item 7.11, in agreement with the Galveston County Auto Crimes Task Force. I'm confused on the actual amount that this is going to cost the city. City Council agenda form says it's going to be $37,952. The resolution states $28,500, and the interlocal agreement says it's $28,625. So I'd like to know what the actual amount is. If you look on page 35 and 36 of your packet, you'll see the cities that are participating in this program. Right now, there are only two cities, Lamarque and Galveston, participating with the Galveston County Sheriff's Office. There are 45 covered agencies. Now, that means those agencies are receiving the benefit of this grant, but they're not participating at all. They're not having to pay anything. They're not having to furnish an officer. They're getting it for free. Right now, we have a police officer assigned to this task force, an officer working entirely for another agency, and it's costing the taxpayers approximately $27,000 annually. What are we getting for our money? Has this council seen any data or statistics to warrant this expenditure? What is our auto crime rate compared to the non-participating cities? Why are we paying an officer to work in other counties and other cities that don't even participate? Does this officer work on Lamarque cases? Yes. But if you look in your packet, page 41, about halfway down that paragraph, it says Lamarque Police Department Detective. It lists his duties, and it also states 100% assigned to the Auto Crimes Task Force. And I can tell you the priority is not in Lamarque. If you look on page 46 of your packet, under the request for the application for the grant, section 2-1, Galveston County Auto Crimes Task Force provides service to Galveston County. Additionally, Brazoria, Southern Harris, and Matagorda counties are served on a request basis. Two areas of the county have seen dramatic increases in burglaries of motor vehicles, jugging, which we intend to address: the north end of Galveston County and eastern Brazoria County, and the tourist industry in the southern part of Galveston County. Did anybody hear Lamarque mentioned in there? No. There are no participating cities in northern Galveston County, nor are there any participating cities in Brazoria County. So what is Lamarque getting out of this deal? With the budgetary restraints that we're currently facing, it's time to consider the needs of Lamarque. It's time to opt out of this agreement and stop paying for services provided to other cities and other agencies outside of our jurisdiction. Right now, we're short 5 police officers.
Face your sense. Go ahead.
We need officers to patrol our streets, and we have one that can be doing just that. I think the city council needs to take a long, hard look at this resolution. If this passes and you allow one of our officers to work out for an outside agency and bill the taxpayers between $28,000 and $37,000, when we already have a shortage of 5 officers, and we could be receiving this service for free, I'd really like to hear your justification for that. Thank you.
Thank you, David. James Osteen. Welcome, James. All right, how you doing? Name and address, sir.
Fine. James Osteen, 2012 Geraldine in Lamarque. I'm gonna try to run through these pretty fast. On section 6.1. The budget ordinance that y'all are gonna make the first reading on tonight. It says here that whereas the budget attached as Exhibit A for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2022 and ending in September 2023 was duly presented to the city council by the city manager. And a public hearing was ordered by the city council. And a public notice of said hearing was called to be given by the city council. And said notice was published in the Galveston County Daily News, and said public hearing was held according to said notice and city charter requirements. We've not had any public hearing on the annual budget for the 2022-2020 year. We've not had it's not been published in the paper. and we've not had a hearing on it. So why is this ordinance saying that that has been done? This thing got to be reworded. You can't approve it like it's worded. Y'all agree with that?
We can't deliberate on comments, but I will discuss the
No,
ordinance
you
with
can
council.
deliberate, but it's
No,
on
I
the
can't.
agenda. It's on the agenda. It's
I
agenda
can't
item.
deliberate on comment.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Here's what we're gonna do. As always, James, Gus is going to be prompted to make to give an opinion.
Okay,
During that line item or during that agenda item, as always. He's trying to say he can't do it now, but he'll do it during that. There you go.
but y'all can
Go ahead.
deliberate on it.
Yes, sir.
Mayor.
Yes, sir. We will, James. Definitely.
Okay, let's go to ordinance number. I'm assuming it's the ordinance number 12. It's got ordinance number 0011. You got two ordinances with the same number. It's the same thing that happened last month. So y'all gonna have to do something with this. You're gonna have to amend it like you did last month. You can't approve it like it is. Get the wrong ordinance number. On this resolution 6064, the contract for the election services. What I would like to know is, it states on here it's gonna be November the 8th of 2022.
Mhm.
And then it says there's gonna be a runoff election on December the 6th, 2022. Well, we know there's not gonna be a runoff election like it says here. Is that an added cost that's already been added on this that the county's not aware of, that we're not gonna have a runoff election for a recall?
Mhm.
That's something we need to make sure we're not paying extra for,
Yeah.
okay?
You are out of the 3 minutes, James. If you let's you're out of 3 minutes. We're gonna have to move forward. But when we get to those items, we will definitely make sure that Gus.
Okay, you
Renders
got
an opinion.
about 4 more that's got mistakes on them.
Yeah, that's why I say we're in a dilemma. Let me see I'll see if I can help you out during that time.
Do what
During
now?
those items. See, I'll see if I can get him to prompt him to give us some information in those items. But I can't go past the 3 minutes
Okay,
in that way. Sorry about that.
that'd be fine.
Yeah, no, we'll work with it. Thank you, though. Robert Mishich. Welcome, Robert. Name and address as always.
Robert Mitch 24 North Curlew. Want to speak on line items 7.7 and 7.8. These are under the consent agenda. If no one from council pulls these for discussion, they will be approved without any public notice, or, well, let's say not public notice, they've been on the agenda, but you won't know what's going on with it. First off is the 7.7. This is the rehab for the water tank over by the dog track. The contracted company is CFG. The bid was $511,000 for this work. Yet on the contract language that's signed, that Robin Eldridge happened to sign on August the 9th for this, it's stated at $612,000. That's over $110,000. That's $110,000 difference. Now, line item 7.8. It shows that there are $44,000 in change orders, two change orders. One for delay of $35,000, and there's no attachment to say whose delay or what it was. The attachment's supposed to be there, but there's not, but it's not. Now, the other one is a $9,000 for the logo. Now, if you look into the contract that was bid, there just so happens to be a line item in there for the logo at $9,000. So what are these change orders for? You know, what are we doing? This is all under consent decree. And if you already know the answers, then how y'all know them? Are you doing things outside of the open meetings? Because the public can't see it. And if you just approve this on a consent agenda,
nobody's ever gonna know. And I'd like for y'all to pull it and discuss it and let us know what's going on. There may be a very good reason for this. But this is part of the things of why we find ourselves in a recall situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. James Ross. You're speaking on, this is the citizens' request to speak. You can come and address the items during this 3 minutes. No, sir, this is a request to speak in the citizens' request to speak.
So, line item 7-1.
Mr. Ross, could you, for the record, give us,
James Ross, 414 Avenue D.
welcome, James, welcome.
On 7-1, the agreement to ratify the Galveston County Election Division. I don't know if anybody here knows that there's a notice of public hearing on the tax increase for next week to be proposed for a November election. First off, had to find this on the Galveston County Tax Assessor page. I see by blank stares that.
Yeah. And Mr. Ross, also, we really can't respond unless it's information.
but
So we're looking at you like,
When I saw the deer, as we used to say, the deer.
The deer in the headlights, yeah.
I was like, okay, nobody.
yeah, we're trying to understand where you're coming from. Go ahead. Kyle, please
also-
add 30 seconds to his time. Go ahead, go ahead.
Also, on 8-3, right, isn't that the reserve fund? So most of us in this city will approve a tax rate like this that goes above what the diminished rate is, if there's a cap on the reserve fund. That's kind of what put the city in an issue last time, because that's how we had to bail out the people that, from what I've seen, just moving here in last October, bail out the people that dumped and run after you were elected mayor, whether they took it or not. If we cap that reserve fund, it allows us to just put that money back in the general fund. We don't have to rob Peter to pay Paul to get it done. So please, when you consider that resolution tonight, think about it. Maintain your 25%, give you a cushion there, but don't do it so that you have to pay out somebody that may or may not be crooked as they're trying to leave this city.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Ross. Thank you all for your comments, and certainly the council will take each and every one of them to heart as we deliberate. Item 6 now, I believe. 6-1. Discussion possible action regarding approving. 6-1 ordinance number letter O-2022-0011, making appropriations for the support of the city of Lamarque for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2022, ending September 30th, 2023, appropriating money into a sinking fund to pay interest and principal due on city's indebtedness, and adopting the annual budget for the city of Lamarque for 2022-2023. I will turn this over to Cesar to see if there are any other bits of information you'd like to offer before we act.
Not at this time. I see that Susie's available. We're gonna make available for public view. Do we have the documents, Ms. Kiera, that were shared earlier, just right before this meeting? The budget documents that were prepared. Ms. Susie, as you prepare to take over to go over that, if there are any questions on that item, we'd like to present that along the lines of the 46-cent budget. Maybe we could either address that right this minute. You want to table it and come back? It's your choice. We're ready to go.
Let's get Gus into this, because we had a citizen asking us about this item. So let's get some legal opinion on this, and then we'll move forward into that.
Yeah, absolutely, Mayor. So there are various requirements that the city has to adopt, or that the city has to comply with in order to adopt its budget. One of those is adopting the budget by ordinance. The city adopts its ordinances. It requires 2 readings. So this ordinance, even if it passes on first reading, is actually not adopted until second reading. So these recitals that are found in the ordinance are not effective and are not triggered until the council formally adopts it upon second reading. Which at that time, when it's becomes effective, all of these things will have occurred. I don't want to put words in the city manager or Kiara's mouth, but we've scheduled the public hearing. That's the notice that the council was given. So all of these things will have occurred by second reading, which is what must occur and so that when this ordinance is adopted and finalized, these things will be true. So the council can vote on the ordinance as it sits today. But if the council is concerned, the council can say pending these things in the recitals in the whereas section occurring. The council can absolutely say that. The council could say that, we will vote according, and if they don't occur, things would happen then, but that would be okay. And because what we cannot do is change the ordinance between readings. We can't do that.
Right.
So that's why it's there.
So this ordinance is written this way because it's written for.
I'm sorry?
Are you suggesting for clarity purposes, this ordinance is written this way because it's written this way to pass a first and a second reading?
Correct. In an unaltered form.
Okay, in an unaltered form. Okay,
Yes.
okay. Well, so do you see any issues with us moving on this tonight?
I do not in
making-
the form it's presented.
Are you making any recommendations that we change any wording tonight?
The only thing is and I believe this will actually come up in the tax rate ordinance, y'all can just change it to -0012, but the wording as it's currently drafted is fine.
Council, I will entertain a motion on item 6.1. We can't, well, hold on, Mr. Ross. I know. We're in the middle of deliberating. I get that. We're in the middle of deliberating. Because you have a question about the legalities, we will say it one more time for clarity purposes, okay? We'll make sure that everybody understands.
And one thing I would say, Mayor, is that this language is not something that is new this year to the city of Lamar.
So we've been doing it like this for
This came from y'all.
not only this year, but 5 years, 10 years? Okay. Okay.
That
We're not, we're deliberate. I get you, Mr. Park. I get you.
if the council would prefer the language be removed, that is fine. Because we will still, the whereas language, because those things will still occur.
Yeah.
It's just a bookkeeping thing so that we have one document that shows they
Yeah.
occur. But the council is free, as I said, to remove it, and then we'll just.
But
have
we
a
don't,
couple
yeah.
different-
The issue is this legal?
Is it
And-
legal? Yes.
Okay.
Could council, if it so chose, remove the things that have not occurred? Yes.
Okay.
And they will, and pass the motion in that form. And then we will still have to comply with those things listed in the whereas section in order for it to be effective and pass on second.
If I may, would that mean that then it would not be the same ordinance?
No, because the council would amend it today, pass it on first reading, and then pass it again.
Yeah.
Because while the whereas sections may have changed, the substance of the ordinance would remain the same.
Gotcha.
Because again, a point I want to make sure we're clear on is that the ordinance itself, the actions it is doing will remain unchanged. The only thing that will remain changed is the things the city council bought. We can do that in a separate resolution. we could address that separately if council so chose.
Okay, all right. I think we got enough to start working on it. Go ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
If I could, when I read this, I also had the same reaction, and it was the point I was going to discuss here. And if something has been done, I'm not so concerned about that, right? I'm one of those guys who says, don't tell me that this has been done in the past. And so, but it is, for clarity purposes, I'm just suggesting that we just read perhaps we should say that whereas the budget attaches Exhibit A for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2022, and ending September 30th, 2023, is duly presented to council, to city council, by the city manager, and a public hearing will be ordered, and a public hearing is hereby ordered, because that's what the practical effect is, Gus, right? By passing this on first reading today, that will trigger the necessity for the public hearing, correct?
That is correct.
So perhaps if we just clarified in that, and a public hearing is hereby ordered by the city council upon first approval, and a public notice of said hearing will be given by the city council, and said notice to be published in the Galveston County Daily News, and said public hearing to be held according to said notice and city charter requirements. Now, therefore, maybe it's just the tenses that'll help clarify that.
Absolutely.
Is that okay?
I support that suggestion.
If I may, I wanted to make sure that this does not counter anything we've already submitted or posting in the paper. Everything will stay as such.
I don't think that
Yeah.
Huh?
The substance.
As long as
Yeah.
we're in compliance there.
Michael, what you think?
Well, first off, are we in the discussion phase? Because I remember a motion, but I don't remember.
No,
a
we're
second.
discussing it. Yeah, we're discussing now. We don't have a motion, do we?
We
yeah.
have, yeah, Kim,
No, she didn't.
Kim made the
no.
motion.
We didn't, Kara didn't record it, but we can discuss
Okay.
it. Yeah, we can discuss it before we make a motion.
Well, my feelings on this is I agree with the mayor pro tem. And it's the verbiage. I mean, according to this, we've already done it, which we haven't done, which I find, I mean, my righteousness finds a problem with that. With saying that we have done it, which we have not. Now, have we scheduled these things? Have they already been sent to the paper? Okay, so there will be. Okay, so if we change the verbiage, the tenses, that's fine. I'm okay with that, but not as it is.
Okay. Kim, I think you're the last one to weigh in on this one. Kim? Okay, go ahead.
That's fine, but looking at the verbiage earlier today, that is the industry standard. That's the way that it's said, that is standard. However, if citizens have a problem with that, you're just talking about the way we communicate, basically. So in verbiage, I don't have any problem with changing that, Mayor. That's fine.
All right. Well, let's get going. Let's entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we accept ordinance O-2022-0011 with the amended changes of the past tense to the present tense.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Well,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Does it have to be changed?
we need to amend this motion with this language.
I just
He
did.
did. He did.
You did?
The Councilmember Carlson made it with the
Yeah.
change from the past to the present.
Okay. all
Yeah.
right.
he
And
made
the,
that- he made that-
and the number?
All right, thank you.
So, no, you're fine. We'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item 6.2.
Important information there.
Go ahead.
And Gus, we're not confused here. we've accepted this on first reading. There will be a public notice printed in the paper calling for a public hearing at our next meeting. Correct? And at that time, we will also consider this ordinance for the second time,
Correct.
correct?
And
And for
since-
final passage.
That's correct. And since the change that y'all made to it is not substantive, we will it will be on second reading.
Second, perfect. Okay.
And we will present that, it will come to y'all in that form.
Just for clarification, it will not be at our next meeting. Our next meeting is on the 12th. It will actually be, second reading will be on September 20th.
September 20th.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you.
And also, if I may, on that, the subject that you're actually voting on, which is the 46-cent budget, is a document that we've been working on. It has just been posted a few moments ago. Copies of that will be shared with everybody for review as to what the aerial view of what the changes were, since it was only first reading. Once that's complete, then you'll have the final to review for the 20th. So there is a 2-page document that has just been posted just a few moments ago. That will, we were just making changes up until leading to the time of this meeting. That'll be for review with more substance at the 20th.
All right, you good, Joe?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, so we are now on 6.2, and this is the tax levying ad valorem taxes. 6.2 ordinance number letter O-2022-0012, levying ad valorem taxes for use and operation of the municipal government of the city of Lamarque, Texas, for tax year 2022, providing for apportioning each levy for specific purposes, and providing when taxes shall become due and when same shall become delinquent if not paid. Say so, do you want to add something to this before we start? What are we looking at?
No, sir, nothing to add. This is just the verbiage necessary, Gus, unless you have anything to add, any edits that were made from what was brought before. There's no edits necessary on this item as far as numbers or anything as such. We're ready to proceed accordingly.
Is there a number being voted on here in this section?
Yes, that number,
Total.
the total, yes, there is a total number. It is 0.461628. That is also as.
It is equal to the stated de minimis rate.
That's correct. And
Okay.
that broken down is 0.317891 for M and O and 0.143737 for INS.
So this ordinance is, we getting ready to vote on a tax rate?
Yes.
Just, I
On-
want everybody to be absolutely clear what's getting ready to happen
Right. And again, on first reading.
on first reading.
And it's also a roll call vote.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that that people in the community were clear on what we're doing. Okay, now, there perhaps was a question about this ordinance as well. Can we get some clarity?
Sure. When you called the caption, Mayor, you indicated as it is on the agenda, it's -0012. When y'all make the motion, or if someone makes the motion, I would just ask that you include a mention that this is in fact ordinance ordinance O-2022-0012.
Okay.
And the amendment to that will be made.
We got our marching orders. Any further discussion before we start taking action on this? Hearing none, let's entertain a motion. Again, we have to add that we are in fact acting on 0012. Is that right, Gus?
That's correct. Mayor.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept ordinance number O-2022-0012, the amendment.
And are you making a motion that we approve it?
Yes.
Is there a second?
A second.
Any further discussion? Go ahead.
For clarity, under the motion, and to be clear, Mr. City Manager, and I think Susie's on, and Gus, the statement in here under this de minimis rate of 0.461628, this is standard language required under the SB 2, by the way, but this tax rate will effectively raise by something about that language as
Yeah.
well too. this tax rate will effectively raise by 11. It's
It's
Passed,
stat,
yeah.
it's statutory.
Yeah, I
language.
know
I
it
mean,
is
I'll go back and
statutory.
check it. but
Yeah, it's state law.
well, and but the increase in reality, because we're even going lower than the 47, it's that we were at as a result of the rollback, is a penny less. A lot of the value is coming from our new construction, and the increased appraisals where individuals have not challenged the increased appraisals on their property.
Yeah, I would not, I would be hesitant to comment on where the new value is coming from. I just make sure that the language tracks.
That's
with
correct.
the
All right,
statute.
okay.
And Mayor Pro Tem, if I may, that's a very likely assumption. Only because everybody's received them at home, everybody's property values have gone up significantly. Your county assessment as such has been true for everybody. I'm sure everybody that's in the audience as well has experienced that. So I think that would be a fair assessment as far as where we stand right now.
All right, thank you.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, Kara.
Councilmember District A,
This is a voice vote, Kim.
Yes, I'm in favor.
Councilmember District B,
Four.
Councilmember District C,
For,
Councilmember District D,
For.
Mayor.
against.
Thank you. The motion passes with 4 ayes, 1 nay.
Item 7. Consent. Following items should be considered for action as a whole unless one or more council members objects. Unless otherwise specified, the city manager is authorized to execute all necessary documents upon final approval by the city attorney. Council, are there any of these consent items that you would like to pull at this time?
I'd like to pull all of them, Mayor.
You want to break them out individually?
Individually.
Okay. Does anybody have any discussion on that? We okay? Let's do it. Item 7.1, resolution number letter R-2022-0064, ratifying an agreement with Galveston County Elections Division. Is that Cesar or is that Kiera? There was a question
It can be
about
me.
a calendar, a runoff in the contract.
Honestly, it's just standard language, that leaves that availability depending on if anything happens, and there does have to be a follow-up to the election. It's not likely, it's just something that is requested that is left in
It's
there,
boilerplate language.
pretty
okay.
much.
I think the other question then was, are we having to pay more for that to be in our
So
contract?
you don't get paid, you don't have to pay for a second election unless it actually occurs.
So the fact that that's in the contract, we're not paying any. Okay,
Well, excuse me.
good. No, yeah, you're fine.
The section 5 in ballots by mail. And I don't recall this last year, but was it on there, the cost for the service to process a ballot by mail? We're actually being billed by that? For that, $4 per ballot?
I'm not sure if it was in. I mean, that is something that we do get billed for, I will tell you, because I see the invoices that come. That's pretty standard.
That's surprising. That I did not know. And for purposes of clarity, you're saying that the language in here with regard to a runoff election is actually contingent upon there being a runoff election.
Correct.
That's the clarity there. Okay.
And again, if it's something that you all would like to have removed, it doesn't. I don't believe it would be substantive in this situation, so we can.
May I comment just real quick, as if it's possible, and I want to ear on the side of legal on this case. Can we in parentheses put next to that runoff election date, parentheses, if needed, close parentheses? Would that satisfy what we're asking?
I don't see why not.
That's fine with me, and that's something that we I can incorporate into my final approval, which the mayor did say upon final. approval.
Would that satisfy the questions being asked at this time?
I would think so. I think the question was about whether or not the taxpayer is going to have to pay for this this scheduling and this contract language. So if needed is added, I think that we have a deal. I think that clears a lot up. So I assume we can move forward, but we need a motion. We need council approval at this point. Or disapproval. Pleasure of the council.
So move for approval
Are you adding what Gus is?
with the,
If needed?
with if needed language.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? 7-2, resolution number letter R 2022 0065, authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with the Galveston County for the participation in the Galveston County Auto Crimes Task Force, CESAR. I believe I see Officer O'Connor.
I've asked for Chief Aragon to come forward to speak on this item and any other officers who may.
Could you ask Officer O'Connor, and it seems like it might be another person from that unit.
Certainly, and if you guys want,
There-
please join us in the front row in case questions are needed.
Yeah, we want to make sure that the questions about this operation are answered so we can have a better understanding.
As I'm sure you guys heard, Chief, and you and your team may have heard, there's questions regarding this item. If you're welcome to answer those questions and provide any other insight needed.
Yes, sir, will do. Mayor, members of council, city manager. This grant's been going on for 23 years, 15 years prior to when we kicked it off again in 2013. And I respect, of course, David Pennington's comments. The overall issue is it's basically a expansion of our resources. I'll be followed by Lieutenant Hal Barrow. Hal Barrow is responsible for the Galveston County Auto Crimes Task Force, which consists of 6 people, including him and one of our we call him Special Agent Daniel O'Connor. So it's a force multiplier. My staff has been through this for many years. I've been through it on my first run. We've seen a lot of work done with this. I think we need to explain to the council and the city manager and mayor why it's so necessary. So I'll be followed by Lieutenant Hal Barrow. Hal.
Okay. Lieutenant Barrow,
Yes, sir.
welcome. Welcome. No, go ahead. I was just saying, just welcome.
Lieutenant Hal Barrow, with the sheriff's office, been there 36 years. I'm assigned as commander of the Auto Crimes Task Force. We have reached out to Lamarque, which we've been in contract with since 2013. They were before they left the task force, then they came back and joined again. I know there were some comments about the grant. Since I authored the grant, I guess I'll answer the questions. The point about the north end of the county has most problem stuff. When you write a grant, you have to address the problem, and that's a problem statement. That's why I wrote that in there. You have to address the problem to be able to receive funding for it. We also include these other agencies and counties because we are all specialized in auto theft training. There's certain stuff that is not accessible because it's protected by Supreme Court rulings that can't be released to the general public. We all received a specialized training and stuff. We can identify cars when they had VIN switches and stuff. I'll give you an example. In the last month, I've recovered 2 trucks for over $80,000. One of the Agent Blackwell recovered another truck for $80,000. He recovered a Charger a while ago that was about a $50,000 car. So there's all specialized stuff in them. And he was talking about the problem statement of jugging and stuff in the north end of the county. But we have to address the issue, the problem statement. Now, I do have Galveston PD as one of the task force members and Lamarque. Both are higher in motor vehicle theft and burglary motor vehicle cases. That's why we try to get them. Tech City is also League City, but their salaries of their police officers are very high. I'm sure y'all aware of that. This position, I think we reimburse about $65,000. Now it's a line item budget for y'all in the city council. You will see that, but we reimburse it from the county because we get reimbursement from the state. There's questions why we work at Missouri County stuff. We're state grant funds. So we have to add them areas to get the coverage to get the money, and then we do it by assistance. Most of the stuff like Lamarck, I let them work most Lamarck cases, because Lamarck's got enough cases for one investigator to work. Galveston has plenty of cases. They can have numerous case investigators. So I was trying to remember what the other question you had.
If I could assist with that, is basically a question asking, why are other cities not incorporated in this share? And then more importantly, what is the benefit for Lamarck to participate versus others?
Okay, the reason to participate is you get all these other agents, which are another 5 agents, plus we have an analyst that can assist, like you have a major crime go down, stolen cars, dealership, or something that's hit. We all come in and work. So then you got a force multiplier like the chief was talking about. One thing was brought up about the money. It said $28,000. This is the grant extension. That's what we had last year in FY22. So the number's not going to change, but if you look at page 6, the grant reimbursement part, it says actual numbers will be reimbursed. So if y'all spend 32,000, that shows the match portion of the grant that reimburses the salary. So I'll reimburse it. I'm assuming it's going back to y'all's general fund from the county. So is anything else? I mean, this.
No, I think.
No, I think just to be clear, I think one of our community members, when he spoke, was talking basically about taxpayer money going out of our city to help to prevent or even prosecute auto crimes in other cities. And it seems like we don't have the same level of commitment. But I thought I heard you say that our officer primarily works auto crimes in our city. Did I hear you say that?
That's correct.
Okay.
Primary, that's what I try. I'm the commander. I try to leave them work what they have in their cities. There are sometimes we have to go down Missouri County, or we have to go to some other cities to help them assist identify. Also, we do the 68A inspections, which are identifying cars to make sure they're not stolen for the Texas DMV, but that is the grantor. So we have to be able to do what they ask us to do. So there's some give and take there. Yeah, you have a little bit of match, but I think it's about 60-something thousand that y'all are benefiting,
Right.
plus all these other agents. And the graciousness of the sheriff and the county commissioners, they're providing a vehicle and providing the tools, all the radio equipment, all the stuff that goes with that, plus all the other officers. I mean, there's 5 of us.
Mhm.
We're all rigged out. You taking $120,000 per that can come to the city when you have something. So it's a good
Lieutenant,
benefit.
would it be that this is similar to a mutual aid, if you will,
Absolutely.
specifically for our auto task force?
Yes, sir.
Is that a pretty good way to describe that?
That's a good way to describe it.
For clarity, I need.
Joe and then Mike. Go ahead, Joe.
Need some clarity here, just to be clear. There's on the city's contribution side.
Okay.
The city's contribution side, based upon the material that we've been provided. There's estimated expenditures, which the city has calculated, the city financial officer, I assume, is calculated with the fringe of the 34,352 plus 2,400 fuel, and then 1,200 maintenance and insurance for the grant funded vehicle. So that's what the city's obligation is. But the flip side, though, is that in the grant, whereas, Gus, the city of Lamarque has agreed to contribute a total of 28.5 as matching grants for the enhancement of the funded grant program. That speaks differently. That's the language that you needed to complete your grant application. Is that accurate?
That's correct. And this was in FY22. This is the grant extension.
Right.
So we had to use them numbers to move forward, even though the actuals are going to be different, which I think the chief provided you with the actuals.
Correct.
So that's what's going to be reported to the state,
Yes.
and the reimbursements will be built off because they give it, I'm going to go 80-20, but it's a little different than that. Don't quote me on that one. But the reimbursement is the base salary for the officer we reimburse.
Okay. And then 2 follow-up questions is that you said Lamarque had one of the higher amounts of stolen vehicles. Do we have statistics on
I do
Yeah,
have the
that-
statistics. I do not have them with me and I'm.
Okay,
apologize.
I would like to see those, chief, at some point.
I'm telling you, the county in FY 22 was 666 motor vehicle thefts in the county.
And the county.
And everything's going up due to the cost of living, the fuel prices. We see a lot of vehicles get burned, stolen, fraud. So all that's becoming greater numbers. It's not just the city of Lamarck, it's countywide,
Right.
to other counties too. But let's say you don't approve this, all the cases that Lamarck has are gonna have to go back to the investigators that you have.
Mhm.
That position is gonna be done away with, so you're losing one whole position for the police department. So, I mean, it's absorbing a lot back into the department.
So
And Chief Aragon, if you know, there was one year, apparently in the fiscal year 2020 to 2021, where Lamarck did not participate in the program. Unless it's an error. And we've seen some, of course. But
2021 and 2022.
it's not listed as the number of years. When you said we started participating again in 2013
Yes.
and then tracked it, the fiscal year 2020, 2021 is not included. So it might be an error then. We
That's-
just,
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yes, I do see that. But I think we continued on. We never had a break.
we would not. So that's just
type of
in there. We
clerical
just,
error. I know that.
that number is missing.
We had 65 larceny motor vehicles in 21 and currently 22, we've had 36 motor vehicle thefts.
Okay.
That's up to date.
And do these occur in, if your figures show it, in a particular part of the city, or are these commercial thefts out of
These are
parking lots, or mostly out of parking lots?
driveways,
Oh,
street,
driveways.
all over.
Okay.
And Daniel's going to talk about his cases for the year. I think it's very important you hear just what work he's done. Now, remember, if we do not get the participate, he comes back, we don't get 64,000.
Mhm.
I'm losing another officer
Yes, sir.
in
Understand that.
essence. So I got to put it on the rest of the division, investigative services. Then again, he's going to be happy getting more cases, but he really works all but 5% of his time is with us. That's what Lieutenant
Maybe
told me.
James can speak to this, because this is one area where I think our next door app, our social media that we put out, I believe personally, and please, I'm asking this, right? Or is there a role for social media when we have reports of stolen vehicles, that we can immediately put the word out, vehicle stolen, here's a description with a picture, license plate, much like they do with alerts for
We do that.
kidnapping, child kidnapping.
We
Do
do
we do
that on Facebook when we have things with leads. That JB puts it on there, definitely. So we do that. In fact, Daniel's helped us with several of them, but I'd like you to hear Daniel's side
sure.
of the story, if you would, okay?
and
Daniel O'Connor, Special Agent.
as a special agent moves forward, I want you guys to know, to reiterate, this is a grant funded position. So the benefit of it is you're getting a full officer, if you will, even though it has to be shared for not full price. So essentially you would lose one position in your budget if that's what we need to do. So just keep that in tune as you deliberate. Sir?
Hello, I'm Agent O'Connor. I'm with the Lamarque Police Department for 9 years now. The last 4 have been assigned specifically direct access to resources a lot of other agencies don't have and won't be able to have. Some of these include the flock camera system, which Lamarque has already implemented. There's another database which county provides. It's called LPR, which basically reads license plates like the flock system. These are more mobile cameras. They're not just stationed in one area, so they help us locate stolen vehicles from Lamarque if they're, say, in Galveston or Texas City, Houston, other surrounding agencies. On top of that, we have access to specific databases, and they provide training and aid to help us in our investigations. and also identify vehicles like he mentioned, vehicles that have VIN swaps, or if we have a couple months ago, we had 2 burn vehicles that were recovered in our city. We're able to identify it based on a lot of the database and software that we're able to, that's provided from us from the sheriff's office. So that directly correlates to our investigation and helping us identify vehicles, notify owners, and work our cases. On top of that, we have direct working relationship with Harris County Task Force and a lot of specialized agents, such as DPS, Texas Department, License Regulations, National Insurance Crime Bureau. Another thing he mentioned, I'll reiterate, is the additional manpower we get from the task force is 5 additional officers. I get a lot of cases that deal with offer up where we have to go out and physically set up a purchase for a vehicle that we know to be stolen. I'll contact the sheriff's office. We all go out there. We'll do covert ops or surveillance. We'll sit on it for hours at a time, waiting for a suspect. And then once we do identify suspect and the vehicle, we all work together to investigate the case further on from there. So it's not just me alone. I don't have to contact Lamarque Police Department and use our resources because we're already short staffed on officers and such. So it's a big help when it comes to our higher end or more in-depth cases.
And Special Agent, if you don't mind, also because of the sensitivity, what we're trying to do with these things, if some of the internal trade secrets that we use to catch folks in these infractions can be limited, only so that we don't, obviously let the word out as to what we're trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Certainly.
Also touch on, we have had a bait car in the past that was provided through the National Insurance Crime Bureau. It has been deployed in the city of Lamarque. We try to put it in the high area burglary case. At one specific time, I believe it was Delaney Cove. We didn't get any active hits on it, but it's just a resource and a tool that we have that we can put out there to show that we're being proactive in the reduction of burglary motor vehicle cases. The vehicle got pulled when we lost our agent for the Insurance Crime Bureau. The sheriff's office is currently working with GPD to get another bait car implemented, and hopefully in the very near future, we'll have access to that. And again, we're going to be deploying it in Galveston, high areas of traffic in Lamarque, and then locals for the sheriff's office. On top of daily investigations, I also am assigned as our record official. So I conduct record vehicle and record lot inspections. It's another perk. I get to use a lot of the database and resources from auto crimes to go out to these lots. I have a direct relationship with Texas Department of License Regulations. I can just give them a call, say, hey, can you run this guy's license? Make sure everything's up to date. He'll text me or call me right back. So it's a good give and take resource on that. I know there's a lot of talk on the not being 100% auto related cases assigned to Lamarque. Let me reword that. There was concern that 100% of the cases are not being directly directed towards the Lamarque Police Department. I can attest that probably at least 90% of the time I'm physically working Lamarque cases due to our high call volumes and the high number of cases I am assigned. We do have a time where we have to break off and go help Texas City identify a vehicle because of our specialized training. And that's training that has been given to us and paid for by the sheriff's office. So that's just another thing to reiterate on. Kind of some of my numbers for the last year. Technically, it's a 10-month period because I was out on FMLA. So there could be a higher spike if it were a full year. The number of motor vehicle recovered is about 38. The total value for those recovered vehicles is $654,000. And again, these are cases I was directly assigned. I either put hands on or worked with the officer or followed up. And it's 100% a Lamarque case that has been worked. I cleared out 79 burglary or motor vehicle cases, 88 unauthorized use or theft cases. These led to approximately 11 arrests. The arrests may seem low, but with our current district attorney's office, we've had instances where someone will touch a car committing a burglary. We call the DA, say, hey, we have them on the car. Would you take charges? And they'll deny charges because anybody could walk by a car and touch it. So it may seem like it's not a lot of arrests, but we're working cases where we're contacting the DA and the DA is turning us down on charges. We've had instances where someone is physically inside the vehicle that is stolen. And when you get a statement from them, they say, hey, I purchased from someone else. And the DA will not take charges because they give the suspect the benefit of the doubt on things like that. So just to show that 11 arrests may seem low for the year, but that's because of we're kind of battling the DA's office as well on some of these cases. And then as far as the 68A vehicle inspections, I completed 81 vehicle inspections. That's when they bring vehicles to us at the Dickinson office. We visually inspect it to verify that the VIN number is the true identity for the vehicle. In doing so, we've recovered several vehicles, one being a 2017 Cadillac Escalade worth $65,000 in value. So they're bringing these cars to us to inspection, and sometimes we're able to get a recovery, which helps combat other potential crimes, because everyone knows they're not going out committing crimes in regular cars. It's typically a stolen car that they're going to go use for jugging and other higher offenses. So, and that's kind of some of my numbers and my spill.
Sure. Thank you, Officer O'Connor.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Officer O'Connor or any one of our speakers about this issue?
So Mayor, I think it's clear that the return on investment is much greater than the actual cost.
Yeah, I think if you're suggesting to us that 90 to 95% of our of the work you do is in the city of Lamarck, but Lamarck taxpayers, then I think that probably sheds some light on maybe what the citizens are trying to understand about what you do.
Absolutely.
So definitely.
I have a question, Mayor.
Go ahead.
This is one of my constituents asked, and I want to make sure that I ask this question for them. So if we don't fund this position, we don't accept the grant, what are we not able to obtain from the task force? Sure, sir.
There's contract obligations we have with the grant, just like working in other cities and being available. I can't sit and say that, no, we're not gonna do that. And what specifically you wanted from it?
The only question that was posed to me was what would happen if we did not participate in the task force?
If you didn't participate and you called, we're still gonna assist. But we like the participation because I think you get a lot more out of it by getting the cases work.
And if I understand it right, we also get the access to databases that other cities don't have access to.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
If I can, one of the things that, from my perspective anyway, in investigations is I'm going to lose an investigator. And Agent O'Connor will attest that by far, quantity of cases, he gets assigned more cases than any other investigator, just by the pure quantity, because of the amount of burglary of motor vehicles, the amount of motor vehicle thefts that we have. Those all pretty much automatically go to him. So the biggest thing for me and my investigators is those several hundred or a few hundred cases are going to have to go somewhere. And they're going to end up bogging down my guys that are investigating the murders, or they're the guys that are investigating, the ag assaults and stuff like that. So those cases got to go somewhere, basically. So we would lose an investigator, and we would also the overall staff level is going to go down.
Departmental caseload would have to increase.
Yeah. And just
the cases aren't getting I'm sorry to interrupt you, but cases arenren't going away. If anything, they're going to increase.
Right.
And that direct access, you can't replace that. I can attest that, we can call O'Connor, or even if O'Connor's unavailable, he's, out of town, whatever, when he was out on FMLA, we can still reach out to that team, and because of our participation and because of our access, they know us, they work with us. They're always available for us. So it's very important.
So let's let me.
I have a question, Mayor.
Okay, let me ask this question, Kim, and I'll let you jump in. I want to be clear. Let's drill down on this. If we disapprove this, O'Connor comes back, the cases come back with him. The lieutenant basically said they will still assist, but instead of us being on the front line of this response, because the county will then have to put us with another investigator who is investigating perhaps other crimes in other parts of the county.
Yeah, they're handling.
Is that what you're saying?
They're handling their own jurisdiction, and also they're not familiar with Lamarck, and they're not familiar with our crimes, our people, our crooks, our good people, our bad people. So that's irreplaceable. And also just as far as the force multiplier thing that we were talking about, is that when our patrol division is short-staffed one night because of injuries or sickness or whatever, he is available. He just came off of, I think, a 2-week stint of working 12-hour patrol shifts where he took that time away from the task force. So it's just, for me, it's a no-brainer, but just because I'm on the front line.
Gotcha. Let's hold on, say so. Let's get Kim in and then we'll come back. Say so.
Yep.
Go ahead, Kim.
So you were saying earlier that this grant is fully reimbursable. We put up the front monies and then the grant, once it's awarded, comes back to the city. I'm trying to get some clarity on that.
For the base salary, the fringe, I think the city's still responsible for the fringe, but the base salary is all reimbursable.
And
And
you're
also, we're provided with a city, or with a vehicle too, which is at a premium right now because we're short on vehicles.
Okay, so we receive the base salary back, not the fringe. So if the full salary was 35, we may be paying 25.
Yeah, I think the base salary is in the range of 65.
Okay,
62.
65. Okay.
Yeah, 62, 651.
The total obligation, Kim, is roughly about 28.5. Is that right?
Okay, that's what I thought, 28.
28.5 is what we're talking about right now. Yes, ma'am.
So how many cities in our county participate with this grant program? I think you said Galveston and Marque were the only ones that participate.
In the sheriff's office, yes.
So there's only 2 cities.
Two
out of
cities.
Okay, that still participate. Do you know why the others are no longer participating in this program?
I believe I'd have to let. Salaries outpacing the grant amount.
So their
League
salaries
cities
are,
paying their guys too much to be reimbursed by the grant,
okay.
or Texas City, et cetera.
So they
Oh,
own
so
the grant.
Yes.
So they
make
can't
more than the
qualify
grant.
for. Okay, well, that explains a lot. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Go ahead, say so.
If I may, and Chief, I'll need you for this question. How many sworn officers do you currently have right now? Slots,
We're
not that you have.
authorized 39, we're
39.
short 5, so we have
And
34 on.
So you're short 5, but on
Five.
the other side of the other manpower analysis, you were short 7, correct? There was one that said you were short 5, the other one said you were short 7.
So the
30
manpower survey
yeah.
said that we were
Right.
short 7.
Right.
Okay.
27.
So for the sake of budgeting, we're going to make this about budget, the comment that I have to make. Right now, you're at 39, which technically you're paying for 38 and a third, if you will, because 1/3 is being paid from this grant. Should you not accept this grant today, your budgeted amount goes down to 38. So although you'll be able to move that, the current person in that role into a different role within the department, you'll still be down another person. So instead of being short 7, you will now be short 8. Your manpower analysis still shows that you need that number. We're still a -7. I thankfully we've applied for a grant. We're waiting to hear any day now for 6 more. So if we attain that grant and keep this grant, we'll only be 1 short from where we should be. If you do not accept this grant, we're moving in the opposite direction. Okay, so just keep that in mind when you're doing this, because at the end of the day, cost saving versus not, your manpower analysis shows that you are 7 sworn officers short. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right, we're supposed to have 20, well, 21, one study said 27, one said 28.
Right.
And which turns out to be about the figures you're talking about.
So to answer your question, if you accept this officer, you'll still be at 7, or accept this grant. If you choose not to accept it, you'll be down 1 more. And that's at the end of the day, you could look at it any which way, resources, not sharing resources, whatever you so choose. Your manpower analysis says with your current crime rate, that's where we need to be.
And, you know,
If in the whole scope of what we're doing, if that makes any sense.
when you drill down on the facts that convinced me and my staff, if he wasn't doing 90% plus for our city, I wouldn't be standing here. We would not want the grant, but it's just definitely unquestionably good for our city, our taxpayers, and our crime rate.
Very good, Chief. Any other questions?
Last thing I got,
All
Chief,
right.
or Mayor, Chief Gandy, Lieutenant, thank you very much for Chief Gandy letting me know about, well, you're the deputy chief, so. But thank you for voicing that our special agent is able to come back to us. And Lieutenant, thank you for letting them come back to us when we need them. So, which I appreciate. But thank you. I'm glad that you guys shed some light on some of those questions. A lot of my constituents have raised those questions and you guys answered them all. So thank you.
And I believe that concludes that report. Thank you.
Council, are there any other questions? Hearing none, we will entertain a motion. Let's make sure that the motion reflects Cesar Garcia as our city manager in the contract
Move for approval of this grant
with said changes.
with said changes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? I would like to, whoa, they left. Hey, guys. You don't have to get up. You don't have to. I think it's important that we are able to provide for this council so that we can disseminate through our community what you're doing in this task force and how this relates to our community. 90% of your time is tremendous. I think it changes people's minds about the operation, but I think people want the data. So I think people want to know exactly what you're doing and how it's benefiting the taxpayer in Lamarque. And it seems like there's at least an appetite to continue for the most part. Sounds like. So can you all do that? Can you all get us the data? Okay, very good. Any other questions, comments? Call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 7.3. Thank you, Council. 7.3, resolution number letter R-2022-0066, authorizing the execution of a contract for emergency medical services billing and collections with Emergicon. Is that right, Chief? Emergicon LLC. Cesar, Chief Merriman, who wants to?
Certainly. I'll ask Chief Merriman to come forward. Essentially, as we know, there was an RFP put out for these services. I will let Chief answer your questions or ask him to answer your questions. I'm sorry. And we can move this item as needed.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, Council,
Good evening.
citizens.
Were there questions first? I
Are
guess.
there any questions to
Yeah,
start with?
does anybody have any? Go ahead.
Well, for clarity's purposes and having read over this, historically, the fire department has contracted with actually this particular company.
No, sir.
No, it's a new the other company went away or something.
Intermedics.
Intermedics.
And so this is a new company with regard to any unpaid ambulance bills.
So when a citizen calls 911 and an ambulance is dispatched, a transport is made, there is a cost incurred by that. In order to bill insurances, we have to have somebody who has the ability to do insurance billing, Texas Medicare, Medicaid, Blue Cross, whatever various insurances there are. The previous company that we have been using has since moved out of Texas. They're based in Florida. So we put out an RFP to see if we could find a better option. And we had 5 companies that put in bids. They were independently graded by three independent individuals who had no knowledge of what the other person was doing. All the scores were tabulated, and the one that came out on top was Emergicon. They are a Texas-based EMS billing company with over 170 clients in the state of Texas. And quite frankly, most of our area, other providers such as Santa Fe and Dickinson and some of the others in the area, they use this company as well. And they have seen an increase in collections of somewhere around 30%.
And I think second follow-up question, I believe you and I had this discussion. I was just concerned, unlike perhaps some larger public medical institution, when we have individuals who are unable to pay their bill, there's the opportunity to work with them, and the company works with them to see what can be done in terms of some sort of payment structure. Is that accurate?
Correct.
And in some instances, even some sort of charity care policy based upon their income.
That would be outside of, I don't know that much about EMS, but I know those programs are available. This particular company does participate in, they are very familiar with what's called the Texas Ambulance Supplemental Payment Program, which is through the state of Texas, where, for lack of better terms, it's a refund. We get money from the government. It's called a bad debt write-off. So when you write it off, you're entitled to so much government funding from that, and they help with that part of the program, and the previous provider did not.
Very good. Thank you.
They are also, with the new report software that we're going to, they are a platinum partner, so it actually helped us get our report writing software at a discounted rate.
Any other questions?
I move approval.
Move approval. Is there a second?
Just a point of note, Mr. Olstein had pointed out to me, if you guys check the resolution number, the one that's on top of the actual resolution is the same one for the county election. The number needs to be fixed on that. And there's also, I didn't catch it on the actual contract. The very top page of the contract, it says, it doesn't say Lamarque. They left out the LA. Usually I'm real quick to catch it because nobody puts the space there. But since it just said, I didn't catch the LA was missing.
Yeah.
But I will get, I've already been in contact with the rep from Emergicon, and they're going to send over a corrected one to make that.
They
right.
wrote the contract and.
They did.
Gotcha.
Well, then let me just amend it to say.
Yeah, we
I
can do
move
that.
approval with.
Yeah, we could do
I
that.
just wanted
with
you
the
guys to.
corrected
Yeah.
Resolution.
Yeah, the way it should be.
It just,
before we-
yeah, that's a clerical thing. I think we can get through that.
Yeah, and the new contract I should have, I sent him a message this afternoon. Obviously, I don't expect him to respond at 7:00 at night, but
Yeah.
I should have it tomorrow to get to the city manager.
All right, let's get to it. Did you want to have your motion reflect the LA?
Yes.
Okay, who seconded it? Was you, Mike?
No, I didn't second it.
Kim, you okay with that? It wasn't seconded yet? Kim seconds it now, right? Are you seconding it?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Any further discussion?
I don't have a discussion, just a comment.
Go ahead, Mike.
Chief Merriman let me know that this company does specialize in Medicare, Medicaid also. They're fully aware of that billing process, so, which is a lot of our insurance for our citizens. So I think that would be a good.
That was actually part of my personal grading criteria that
Yeah.
I wanted somebody who was familiar with Texas Medicare and Medicaid laws, because every state has a different law, and it's not different, but every state has little differences than from one state to the next. So I wanted somebody who was very versed in Texas Medicare and Medicaid laws, and with 170 clients in Texas, I believe that we found that person.
Good deal, good deal. Call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 7, it looks like we are now on 7-4, resolution number letter R. Thank you, Chief. -2022-0067, ratifying a payment to premium pumps in the amount of $36,504.75. Rick, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. If, Rick, if I can, for the sake of these items, the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if we can just start with questions on the items as to why they may have been pulled, we could address those a little bit easier.
Yeah, you wanna, okay, Gus, what are you thinking about that?
That,
Each one, like one at a time.
yeah, that's fine. They all relate to Rick. So
Yes,
I think
that's
what-
why I said that.
Yeah.
particular.
Okay, all right. Let's, does anybody have any questions for Rick?
Well, as I recall, this premium pump.
Yeah.
This is an item that was a carryover from 2021, if I'm not mistaken, when it was first ordered. Is that correct?
No, these are 2022 invoices. It's really an accounting situation. There's multiple invoices on this payment. The payment's like $36,000, which was actually enacted. The payment went through shortly before the change was made with the city manager's approval of the 25,000. We just wanted to bring that back to city council for clarity, because the payment is $36,000, but it's actually 4 invoices amounting at one's 17,000, one's 13,000, one's 3,000. it adds up to 36,000, but it's 4 invoices over a period of a month and a half.
So to
And all
keep
the work is
consistent-
done in 2022.
So to keep consistent with anything over 25K being brought to you for ratification, this was deemed emergency repairs. So
Yes,
that's
sir.
why we need to bring this forward for you.
Okay, emergency, all right,
right.
thanks.
Any other questions on, oh, go ahead, Joe.
I was gonna move approval.
Okay. Any other questions on this item? All right, Joe wants to move approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? 7-5, resolution number letter R 2022-0068, ratifying payment of an invoice from Clean Environmental for a closed circuit televised inspection in the amount of $27,917.75. Does anybody have a question for Rick on resolution 7-5 on our agenda?
So just for clarification,
Right.
closed circuit, this is for the pipe?
Yes.
Yes, sir. We
For-
put a camera, we don't, but the
Yeah.
contractor does, we televise the interior of the pipe with the camera.
And that identifies water leaks or?
Problems, no, this is on sewer lines.
Oh, this
sanitary sewer lines.
identifies blockages in sewers and things.
It actually identifies broken pipes and problems that we have to go back in and fix. We've established a policy. If we have multiple backups on a line, we have no idea why the problem's there.
Mhm.
So the only way to get in there, excuse me, is with a camera. We run a camera down the line. We find where there's broken pipes, offset joints, possibly roots coming in, broken taps that are causing problems on that line that is causing backups. So
And
we
Rick,
can
how many-
actually fix the problem.
How many sewer lines do we have work orders in right now, or what are pending projects, number of?
So off of this inspection process, all these lines will be, we will create work orders. So there's about 9 of them. Off of these, off of these
this.
works here, right here.
Okay,
right.
so that's in addition to what you already.
Yeah, generally we TV it because we believe there's a problem. What the TV does is actually tells us where we can go in and actually just do a point repair.
Mhm.
Eventually, we may line the entire line and replace it. That costs a lot of money, as you
Yeah.
know. We can actually go in and sometimes just do point repairs, but we need to know exactly where that point is at.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on item 7-5?
Move approval.
Question I have is this an item, instead of paying 36,000? Or I'm sorry, 27,000. Is this an item that we could look at for a capital improvement plan project?
Actually, I'm very glad that you brought that up, Councilman. So this year, our expenditures, we budgeted for how much to be expended for this year total for this service?
For the next year's budget,
Right,
about $100,000.
right. But we
100.
probably need closer to about $150,000 worth of service.
Yeah, 100.
So historically, we've been spending so much more over time. One of the things that we would like to do as a capital expenditure, if and when we're able to, every year we're spending $100,000 to $200,000 on this service. Instead, I'd like for us to consider when we're ready to purchase the equipment, properly train our staff to do it, and then we could do equally, if not a better job, much more efficiently through this program. What we're paying the most of is not just the labor, but is the equipment that we don't own. So we would like to look at that in the future to do so. If it's the council's will for us to look at doing that into this next year, we can. But obviously with that comes additional training of staff to get that done. We would love to do that. We would encourage that strongly, just we're not in a very strong position right now with our budget to do so. Rick and I have had that discussion already for us to do that, because that way we reduce our general fund, charge each year. Now,
correct.
you're gonna probably have to pay staff a little bit more to get them trained to do this type of work. But the offset is still much, much greater for us to do that in-house.
Correct. Appreciate it. Thanks, sir.
Any other questions?
Just by way of clarity, under the worksheet with staff recommendation,
Mhm.
Mayor, the amount is incorrect. That says 37, not that it's material. The resolution does say the 27,900 and
I thought we
$17.
corrected that one.
I made a motion. I don't know if anybody
Made a
seconded.
motion, yeah. We need a second for approval.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item 7.6, resolution number letter R-2022-0069, authorizing an emergency expenditure to replace approximately 600 feet of water line on Laurel Street. Rick?
Yes, sir. So as you know, the Laurel First Street intersection is being done as part of the street project. That intersection is a stamped concrete designed intersection. There's an old water line that's underneath that intersection. One of our staff members, Rodney Gamble, actually brought it up to me that we might be smart to replace that water line. So that's what this is. 600 feet of water line that goes through that intersection. It's an old AC 8-inch pipe. Wasn't part of the original project. The contractor that's actually doing the work is not replacing any water lines at all. We didn't have this water line in prior. We'd like to get it in, but it's on a tight timeline, which is the reason it's considered an emergency.
So to comment on that, we had talked about if along this county bond project, if there was any water line work we could do prior to that, we would try to get it done. There's been a lag on that project due to I believe AT&T or something that is holding it up right now. We're asking to take advantage of that lag in that window to hurry up and get in there and do this work. Now, want to make sure, you said it's gonna be approximately $65,000. Is that what the resolution here says?
Yes.
Yes, is that consistent? Okay, so we would like to make that improvement now while we can, while the road is still open, so we don't have to go, I mean, it has to happen anyways. So this is along the line of things that we thought about doing, so we have to go in there and tear up the road again. So if we're able to do that, we would like to do so, and this is one of those moments where the delay has actually helped us to try to get this project done.
Okay. I don't understand something. It says, and this is along the lines perhaps of some discussions we've had, Mr. City Manager, for clarity, but the fiscal impact is 65,000, but it says paid with 2020 bond dedicated for capital improvements. Once again, I've asked for a report of all of our bonds and what the balance is on those bonds. I haven't received it. All of us should get that. What is the 2020 bond?
That is a report we're working on. That was a bond, and I see Susie's on the call, and Rick is one of words. They just spoke about this afternoon. We're working on getting an update on that, as well as your regular financials. We can start bringing them to you regularly. We've been tied up with budget and audit, but the intention is now, once the audit is complete now fully, to bring that information to you as well. There's a lot of projects we would like to introduce with any leftover funds from there. This is one that we'd like to take immediately towards that effect. Another option would be, since it is technically water line repair, take it out of ARPA funds, which was one of the main ones that scored highest so far from that survey, so we can move that forward. The source, thankfully, if I would, we have the 65,000 available right now to make this change. The source of it, if you don't want it to come out of that account until you have a balance, is fine. We have it out of ARPA funds that we could use, since it is one of the most highest scored improvements that were requested by the community for us to address.
But either way, whether it's ARPA or 2020, it's still both of those revenue streams are able to accommodate this work, right?
Yes.
So it's just a
Mayor,
matter
absolutely.
of choosing which. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And if in light of not having that total balance available, you prefer not to, we can take it out of that. We can take it out of reserve. I mean, we could put it back afterwards and just do a general ledger if we need to. I just want to hurry up and get this done if we can before the street gets built.
So let's look, I only have one quick question. Laurel and what's the cross street again?
First. Right by EDC.
Gotcha.
The EDC
Okay,
intersection.
gotcha.
The resolution, by the way, Mayor, doesn't address the source of funds.
Right.
We're just approving, go ahead and spend the 65,000 to get it done.
Absolutely.
You guys figure that out. So I'll move that we, yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 7, resolution number letter R-2022-0070, ratifying a contract with CFG Industries and authorizing city manager to execute payments.
If I may, on this one to start off, this project was originally brought to you to council when, in 2018? Was that when it originally
Well, it
came?
was approved in 2021, in August of 2021.
August of 2021.
Yes.
But the original project was brought forward quite a bit ago.
as far as the design or the problem, maybe 19, but close enough.
So this is an on,
What?
I just wanted to point out, this is something that this council has already taken action on.
Right, I remember
This has already been approved by you. However, I will tell you, I didn't feel comfortable the way that it was done. It was done it wasn't done as an actual action item, Ms. Kara, correct me if I'm wrong. It needed to come forward. I didn't feel comfortable signing off on such a large project without bringing that forward. Rick, if you could discuss on what the discrepancy was that was brought up, I believe, or if I'm wrong, Mr. Mistich brought it up earlier, former Councilman Mistich, on the discrepancy on the original amount that was coded as to what was finally negotiated. 1, 2, I can speak as to the change order for the 9,000. That's something that I brought to you guys that you guys approved in principle for us to pursue adding the logo on the other side of the tank as well. I brought that to you for approval before we proposed that. That's what the other 9,000 is. So I could speak to that because I brought to you that personally. I gauged your interest on it. You guys said move forward. This is us bringing that action to you before we proceed with that action. Should you still want to do that?
Okay, we need it. So we'll visit that in 7-8, right? We're in 7-7, correct?
Correct. But I just want to clear that up.
Yeah, no, we'll give you time at 7-8. Again, say so to reiterate that.
So the contract was $612,000. That's what was signed for.
So-
It included a base bid of $571,000 and a supplemental item of $41,000. That's 612. Where the confusion may have been is there's an alternate bid that was included with that contract of $511,000 that was not accepted. We didn't do those alternate items. It was actually a change in the painting schemes that they were going to do on those tanks. So the 511 was just ignored as far as the contract was concerned. The contract amount was 612.
Okay,
And that's
so-
what was signed in the contract.
Okay, so originally it was somewhere around 511, and then other services were
No.
added.
No, the base bid was the base bid was 571.
Okay,
And then there was supplemental items of 41,000. That total 612,000. That's what the contract was signed for by the contractor and the city. On the bid submittal.
so the
there was-
numbers that we heard earlier comes from where?
The 511 was an alternate bid items for 4 items on the painting schemes on the tank. Those items added to 511, which was different than the 571 number. Then it includes some of the mobilization and some other fees. The painting schemes changed by one was $100,000. The supplemental bid was $95,000. That included 12 mils of paint versus 14.5 mils. So it was just some painting skills. The city elected not to take those alternate bids. It was just a different way of painting the tank.
Yeah.
So those items really weren't included in the base bid. The base bid included that $571,000 figure.
So this 511 number is a number that we never entertained. It was something that was
An alternate,
an alternate that
Right.
the city received, but
Mhm.
never entertained.
right? Yes.
The
sir.
number has always been 571 with a $41,000 change order.
No, 41,000 supplemental work. That was
41,000
Supplemental work.
Okay.
That was recommended by the contractor that the
Okay.
city did accept.
Okay, gotcha. All right,
It's just a
guys.
point of information.
Go ahead.
So Gus, help me out. This is an action that was already taken by council
Yes, sir.
to approve this.
Yes, sir. There was just not a resolution done, and we're paying these bills right now. City manager wanted to make sure that it was done.
I was
correct.
reluctant to pay it without it being properly moved.
Unfortunately, there wasn't a PO cut, for instance.
Well, I appreciate that. Who's the signature on here? Robin Eldridge attested to it, but that's not her signature. Who is the city
I believe
person?
that's Chase's signature.
Please, Gary.
I
That's
think
Chase?
Chase Carey signed that, yes, sir,
Okay.
This item was brought to my attention
in August of 21.
by your city clerk when I asked for the resolution number to be added to the purchase order, which was not existent. We started the work without a purchase order, and I said immediately we needed to bring that to your attention. Clearly, you've already approved it. You already approved the amounts, you've already approved the work, it's already come before you. We're bringing it back before you to properly ratify it. And that's what's being brought today. So I didn't want it to seem like we were doing a bait and switch. On the contrary, we found that it wasn't properly moved before, and we're bringing it to you now. And if barring any errors or mistakes that we'd like to move forward on, this is something that's already come to you.
Any other questions, council?
I want to move approval of this. With the statement, though, that you used a term that kind of makes me a bit,
Me or him?
no.
Oh, say so.
It was not you. No. It was not, what was the term? Not properly approved, or what was it?
I mean, I guess from a legal perspective, we're
It
approving.
was properly approved. I just want to make that clear, right? We're not, you see, it was
Yeah, I
properly
got what you're
approved,
saying.
but you in good conscience, they're saying, look, I've got some problems. I just like, as a new city manager, to reaffirm the intent to go ahead and pay these bills and.
It was
the
approved
intent-
before you got
Yeah,
here.
you
Correct.
got here,
And
correct.
now there's a big bill and you're saying, wait a minute, I
I
want
mean,
y'all
you
to
just
tell me.
I'm not, if I don't have a resolution number that approves the PO, the problem is when I ask for such, none exists, Gus.
Right, and if I may, it was also in light of the new purchasing policy.
Yeah, that was part of it too. I understand that.
Yeah.
All right, very good. I move approval.
So let me, before we get a second, let's move approval. Joe, I would like for you to offer an amendment that would basically provide that all of this company's certificates, insurance certificates, and any other licensure or certifications, that all of these things are valid. That are currently valid.
Yeah, well, so
Would you
said,
accept that?
that everything is currently up to date in
Okay.
terms of the performance bond and all other requirements.
And
Set
insurance,
forth insurance.
gotcha. Is there a second?
Ability to do business in Texas, et cetera.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item 7.8, resolution number letter R 2022 0071, approving 2 change orders for the Gulf Greyhound Park elevated tank project for CFG Industries in the amount of $44,000. Say so, you were saying something that you wanted to kind of finish, and then Rick, you wanted to help us to understand what's
So-
without.
So this change order is essentially separated into 2. First one is the second logo on the other side that was agreed upon for the $9,000. And then the other would be the other change order. I'll let Rick speak to that.
There was a request letter from the
Same.
contractor for a change order for materials on this project. Once again, the contract was signed in August of 21. It was actually planned to be done by January of 2022. They didn't get started on the project until April of 2022 due to some delays that we had actually on a well, on the Kirby well project. That took longer than expected to get done because we did a slight design change on that well. There were some opinions from staff that we needed that well operational before we took that tank down. And that was the reason for the delays. Engineering reviewed those numbers and recommended that we approve the change order. We've seen a few of these. There was some similar change order recently with the street project too. FYI, that was approved by Galveston County. Unfortunately, prices have gone up tremendously, as you know, but the reality was this project should have been done in 2021 and it wasn't. And the city's the one that delayed the project.
I recall this was the one where we were required by
Yes, sir.
DC.
We were under
Right,
in
so
order
because
to paint it. Yes, yes, sir.
there was corrosion that was occurring
And that was the
It
date that the city manager was tying back on that
Okay.
original order from TCQ that we needed to do the.
Which was first introduced, I believe, if I saw the paper correctly, was 2018, then brought back to you in 2019, and then was finally put into action in August of 2021. So obviously all these delays as they incurred, a lot has happened since then.
Sure.
That's where the 36,000 comes into.
and so we're still not in compliance with TCEQ at this point.
Once we finish
Because the
this
work has
project.
not been completed at this point.
Technically speaking, I suppose we're not. but-
Well,
but
they'll
we're
give us,
fine.
they'll give us some letter
Right.
to.
Yes.
Yes, yes,
Right,
it was.
right. And by the way, just Susie's on the line, under, careful to bring it up, but under the tax calculation worksheet, the monies that we've spent on that is something that is, in my opinion, properly, there's a line in the tax calculation worksheet for these, any actions taken under orders of CEQ. So I'm just bringing that up, Mr. City Manager.
I thank you. I'll let Gus, because I see him grinning. Gus is, he's chomping at this one. He's been working on this project.
At the risk of straying from the agenda.
No, I'm just, okay, you don't have to, I'm not looking for your comment.
Let's just say we're working on that.
Okay, all right.
Yes, sir.
I have dreams about that damn worksheet. Okay, sorry.
I have nightmares, but
It's gonna say dreams or nightmares.
Actually,
Any other questions?
Okay, so the $9,000 is for a second logo?
yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because I'm looking at the original contract and it talks about 9,000 for one logo. So I just want to make sure that, because I know the question was raised about that it was in the
On
contract.
opposite side.
Okay,
it
so,
was like both the,
right, item 13 on the original contract states that there's going to be a city logo, but this is an additional one for 9,000.
This would be so we can have on either side for visibility from any direction you're coming to that general area. So if you're traveling up 2004, down Texas Ave, making the right, as soon as you make that right and you see
Okay.
it, you'll be able to see it and use it as a $9,000 billboard for the city.
Okay, like I said,
Permanent.
I'd always brought up by a citizen, so I want to make sure it's
Certainly.
clarified. So this is for a second. 2 logos. Thank you.
move approval.
Let's also, Joe, add, that they have to make sure that they provide current, insurance. And that's the contract award is contingent upon that, as well as current other licensures and certifications. Can we do that?
So,
Is there a second?
Second.
yeah.
Any further discussion? Here now, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8, new business, items presented to council for discussion and for council to provide direction. 8.1, Safe Streets and Roads for All grant. Is that you, say so?
Yes, it is. I wanted to make sure that it was okay prior to doing. Thanks to our continued partnership with HCAC, we are trying to partner with them to get into a Safe Streets for All planning grant. They have embodied the fact that we would be a great candidate and have invited us to partner with them on the application at no charge to us. And that's what this letter allows us to do if you would allow me to proceed.
Any questions?
HCAC wants to partner with us.
Well, we've approached them
Oh.
about the ability to partner and they have welcomed us with open arms. And this is the letter that would allow that action to include us in their plan.
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
The second,
Second.
any questions or discussions? Here now, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 8.2, Friends of Lamar. Say so.
During budget workshop, you asked us to look into the matter of getting the city its own 501c3. We've had several folks who have wanted to donate to our cause, what have you, whatever it may be. In the past, I believe the library had its own 501c3. Status of it is still unknown. So it may have lapsed or what have you. So having a partnership again with HCAC, they have a program called Corporate Excellence, Corporation for Regional Excellence, attaches the application form. And essentially this allows us to be a 501c3, allows them to do all the books for us. So there's in complete transparency and allows us the chance for them to essentially for us to serve having a 501c3 through them and to collect whatever donations in a manner that would be fully tax refundable to the donor. This would allow us to chase foundation grants, sponsorships, what have you, in this capacity. This is a program that's put together through HCAC. It is for whatever reason, a pretty big secret throughout the county, but one that we graciously uncovered through our partnership with them. And we'd like to explore it because we have folks who are ready to donate some of their funds, including their rollback funds, that would like to do so through this capacity so they can get the 501c3 status rebate in that sense. So this allows us to do that and to put into motion a lot of the other programs that you guys have wanted us to look into.
Very good. Any questions for Cesar on this?
I see that this is an existing 501c3 of the Houston Galveston Area Council of Governments. How are we going to promote it?
So essentially, if approved, right, we go through the application process and such, then if you will, checks essentially would be made payable to them as far as the Corporation of Regional Excellence with a hyphen that would say whatever you deem, if it be Friends of Lamarck, Lamarck Friends, Lamarck 501, whatever you choose to deem it, then it would be earmarked for those purposes.
You must indicate that earmarked to the city of Lamarck.
Absolutely. Well, actually, yes, and we would do so in any paraphernalia we would send out. Please make checks payable out to Corporation for Regional Excellence / Friends of Lamarck.
I see. All right, very good.
So you put that all that on
I
all the
would-
marketing.
Assuming we're approved. Again, this is just asking you to allow me to submit application for such, because this saves us 6 to 9 months right now, what it would take us to do the 5133 status. If you approve this and we get approved quickly, we could start receiving checks as early as hopefully next week.
And the tax deductible contributions made on your behalf can be used toward erecting libraries and parks, revitalizing town squares, flood control projects, senior services, and more.
Good
Very
deal.
good. I move for approval.
The second,
Second.
any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 8.3, reserve fund, discussion regarding implementing a cap on reserve funds at 35 to 40% or a minimum of 90 days and moving any additional funds into the general fund. I believe this is yours, Michael.
Yes, sir. Reason why I put this on, I had a constituent talk to me about making sure that we have our 90-day supply and anything above that due to the tax rollback. That way it's funds that are able to be used and utilized in the absence of our tax funds. So I wanted to bring this up and see if it's even possible for us to do that. So that's why I put it on the board for tonight. Just to A, see if it's possible, B, if it is, we may want to think about possibly doing that, because that way we allow excess money, not just for us, but for future councils. To be able to fund the city, essentially.
If I may, Gus and Susie, if you guys could chime in on this and possibly our city clerk. Any such change would require some form of amendment to our current charter, would it not? As they
Sorry, I'm trying to pull up my notes.
Sure, and I apologize, but as they take that to review, I'd like for us to consider that also. What is it your general fund is there for, or this actual reserves? What is it there for? That is your contingency, and my opinion is although this would be an amazing thing for us to do, one thing that was brought to light during the budget process that the city has not done very well is not budgeted for unexpected liabilities, meaning, or in this case, uninsured liabilities. We do a pretty good job of setting some funds aside for the disaster fund, which through y'all's leadership, we've moved to reduce. However, there's still a little bit of leeway there that's necessary. We know that the 1.6 is not sufficient to cover us versus the amount that we reduce from. That's one point. The second point is to what threshold do we want to be until we have the uninsured liability covered? We do not yet have a number on that. We're working to reduce that, but we don't have an actual live number to give you yet. So I just wanted to take that in consideration as you deliberate. Gus, hopefully you and Susie can chime in more.
Do you want to go first, Susie? Susie?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Can you clarify reserve fund? What exactly do you mean by reserve fund? Reserve for what? Disaster fund?
This is our 90-day quote unquote rainy day fund. Anything that would be like an emergency, the one that we have to have, the 90 days.
That's already in the general fund.
Okay, why is it in the general fund, not reserve funds being held for emergencies.
It is in the general fund because if there is an emergency, that's where you're gonna use that money, the 90 days, to spend it on general fund salaries, things like that, to keep operations ongoing. It is general fund money. So I just want,
Is general fund money that is allocated for disaster, is what you're saying?
yes. So
Okay.
in case there is something that, like a storm, something occurs, you still can continue to operate for those 90 days. That's where you're gonna pay police, fire, public works, whatever that's necessary to keep things going. That's in the general fund. All of those things, supplies, things like that for the general fund. So it's a general fund contingency policy that requires 90 days. So I'm not sure I follow you when you said,
Yeah, let me try to help, Susie. So basically, what Councilmember Carlson is trying to get us to start thinking about is these monies that we know are in the general fund, but some of them are 90-day allocations. But then there are other monies that we heard about. The 43% number was put out during budget cycle. I think that's what Michael's referring to. How can we get that number capped at like 35% so that some of those monies might come free to help in times like this? Did I say that right, Mike?
Yes, sir. Yes.
That's what he's asking you about. That 43% number that we were told about as far as our I guess you would call them reserve funds.
so if you're talking about the disaster fund, even though it is a separate fund, but in our financial statements under the annual report, those two funds are combined into the general fund, but reserve $1 million. So we can cap that instead of $1 million, we can cap that at 40% of $1 million, if that's what you wish to do. That's, but the disaster fund is separate fund so that it is easy for us to track the expenditure so we can file for FEMA reimbursement.
So let's make it, Susie, let's try to make it crystal clear. I think what Councilmember Carlson is saying is he wants the council to look at some sort of a cap so that these monies aren't, and nobody's saying that anybody's doing it, but so that these monies aren't just being accrued while we have expenditures that need to be met, and we're, trying to get tax monies to do that while we have funds that are accruing monies that we could liquidate and use. Basically, people are wanting us to show them what a cap would look like, and they want council to consider that, basically, in a nutshell.
And that's fine. We just need to be accurate that you want to use the disaster fund, you want to use whatever fund and cap that at 40% instead of $1,400,000, whatever the case is. We can bring back the financial policy for you to amend. Yeah. Whatever you choose, it doesn't matter to me. I don't really care. But you choose to cap at 40%, just be careful. When there's a storm and there's not enough money, then you're the one who made that clear that you want that cap at 40% instead of leaving it at $1 million. Like I said, it's up to you, but we're just going to bring back to you the financial policy and you are going to amend it based on whatever you wish, your desire.
Well, right now, I don't want to amend anything. I want to find out how much money we have and if we can even do that.
Yeah.
Because if we don't.
Yeah. And to that point, so if you would allow us to take a look at what we have separate from the disaster fund, I think is what is being asked, completely separate.
So the charter said 25%, 90 days. Right?
Yeah.
Of the actual budget, not $1 million, but that 40% of what the budget.
We're gonna,
So
yeah, I got you. What we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to find a way to get this into our agenda with numbers so that we can actually move them around. Yeah, yes, sir. I got you. We're on the same page.
If we could table this,
Yeah.
if we're able to, I think we have clear direction on what's being
Yes,
asked
sir.
now.
Yes.
And then if we could bring that up after this budget process
idea.
is done.
Yeah.
And then we can bring that moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good
Okay.
idea.
'Cause I see a lot of deliberation. I think it's easier for us to reconvene and get you exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was looking for, is the actual numbers.
Yeah.
To see if it's feasible.
Gotcha.
Good deal. So, Michael, you want to move to table this or?
It's just a discussion, so there's no action needed.
Yeah, I see that. Thank you for that. Okay,
Yes, sir.
cool. All right, guys, are we done discussing this? We're gonna
Yes,
go
sir.
back, get back to that. Item 8.4. Items for the good of the order, additional items may to bring awareness to council and the community, as well as future agenda items. Requests that are accepted at this time. Are there any items say so for the good of the order?
Yes, I'd like to, sentiments and thoughts are with one of our neighboring cities, if you will, not directly neighboring, but with Jackson, Mississippi, and the crisis that they're going through with their water. I think there's many lessons nationwide to be learned from that. And to give us a direct look at what we need to do to invest in our water infrastructure to make sure that we're prepared for that. We want to commend the entire council for the approach they've taken for us to make those efforts. We also like to announce, if it's okay, do we have the flyer? No? Okay. We would like to announce that we would like to move with your approval to have a workshop, as was requested, to discuss the water situation, our water situation with our water rates, as early as this next Monday prior to our council meeting starting at 4 p.m. With your approval, we would like to have that discussion take place prior to council, to not take time away from that. If you would approve for us to do so. And also, going back to the statement about Jackson, Mississippi, we're looking to see if we can possibly help them with some aid of some water. So if we're able to get some aid of some water, we will see what we can do to get that.
Okay. Anything else?
No, sir. If you approve of that workshop, we would like to announce that immediately.
Does council have any objection?
You can't, y'all can't really take action to schedule a meeting. That would
No,
be-
if the consensus, it's okay.
But
I would like to-
It would,
I'll just do it.
now the mayor can,
I got you. I caught where you're going with that. I'll do it when we close, before we close. Yeah. Any other items for the good of the order? Council, do we have any items for the good of the order?
I will be bringing up a request that I've made to one of the board members of Drainage District number 2, that because I have been getting calls from neighborhoods in terms of localized flooding. Mayor, I think you have as well too, but we've both been on the end of some of those emails. And a discussion and pursue a joint meeting with Drainage District number 1, Drainage District number 2, and the city of Lamarque, so that we can have a discussion of where does our flood water go? How do we get rid of our water? Traditionally, I will say this, in Lamarque, and I guess this Councilmember Osteen, I guess the older guys here, traditionally in the past, Lamarque with its open ditches, the city was very active in terms of having a what is it? Is that a bucket? Gradol to clean the ditches out, keep them deep. And I don't see that happening in the city anymore. I do not. That's part of our problem with water flow. I also the fire department used to be very aggressive about coming by and taking their hoses and pushing out the junk that's accumulated under the pipes that are across driveways, under driveways or other larger areas. That also impacts water flow. So I would like to have, like I say, plan, Mr. City Manager, a sort of joint meeting, perhaps at the Lamarque High School, for all of these groups to come together and have a community discussion, educate ourselves on these issues.
Certainly.
Any other items for the good of the order?
I'll let Kim go first.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I want to say to Cesar, thank you so much for working with Curtis Watson. That was the HOA meeting that you and I had attended with Delaney Cove on getting that sidewalk fixed. For the last 2 years, he had been complaining that he couldn't travel in his wheelchair on that sidewalk. So I really want to shout out to you and Brick as well for getting that done. He was very excited and sent that to us. Then also I want to give direction to send $500 to Lamarck Middle School for my discretionary funds, Kiara, as we celebrate the beginning of school. And they did reach out to me about some of the things that they may need for their Kugel dolls and pencils, and making sure that our students have proper pencils at the school. So we're trying to get them a pencil sharpener machine. And I'm sorry, not pencil sharpener, a pencil dispenser machine, so that they can use that as a form of fundraising as well. So I am excited about HGAC, Cesar. I think that's amazing what you're bringing to the table with all the different things that are happening. And thank you, Joe, for being our representative for our city and making sure that our city manager is aware of everything. And thank you, Mayor, for really supporting that work that we're doing right now with HGAC, that perhaps in the past we didn't have enough voices there, but now we do. So I just want to say thank you so much. That is an awesome deliverable to partner with in order to get with an organization that is there for our cities. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Jansen.
A couple things I have. Lamarck girls softball is looking for any board members. So if you're interested, contact them. Also, they're having an open softball practice for grades 3 through 5 this Thursday from 6 to 7:30 at Mayhem Park. That way, if the girls are interested, they can get a free open practice in. Contact the Lamarck Girls Softball Association for more details. If you saw last week, I had the privilege of giving a gift card to one of the crossing guards. If you come next week, there'll be another surprise. So I'm not going to say it, but there will be another gift card given out. So come back. I do watch social media. I do pay out of my own pocket for these. So people, if you want to do an open records request, you won't find anything. It's out of my own pocket. So save the time. But this is a way to show that we appreciate what happens in Lamarck. So people that just want to put it down, we need to change our image. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for doing the good stuff, doing the right stuff. And I look forward to seeing you all on the 12th.
Thank you, Michael. Again, we want to thank everybody for coming and for participating in our meeting. Certainly your opinions are valued, your input certainly incorporated in what we try to do to make our city better. We certainly want to call a meeting for Monday, 4 o'clock. We will call it a workshop Monday at 4 p.m. What's that date? The 12th, September 12th. And this meeting will have as an agenda item, discussion, possible action on our water rates. Discussion relating to, discussion, no action. Very good.
If deemed necessary, we'll bring that at a future.
If necessary, you'll bring that part. Okay. Anything else? Time to go home. Oh, we have executive session.
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
No, we don't. Not today.
Time to go home. All right, item 9, executive session. There's none. Item 10, action to be taken. There's none. Item 11, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
To a second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We stand adjourned.